Hey there guys, we're taking a look at the Spyro Reignited series running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. Now I tested out this game series in two different configurations. I tried it in 1080p and I tried it in 720p because 1080p, even though we're at the lowest graphical settings, did not perform as well as I was hoping it would. To be fair, it is not a bad experience whatsoever. The 1% lows dipping down into the mid 30s isn't going to be the worst experience, and you can see by the frame times that they're consistent enough to really not give you a bad time at all. It's just not going to be the smoothest experience. Really, overall, I feel like the game could perform a bit better, and really you can drop the resolution down to 900p and get a nice little boost in performance, but overall, what you're gonna get at 1080p is just not gonna be enough, and just for demonstration purposes, I pretty much dropped things down to 720p to see if we can get a nice performance gain. And dropping things down to 720p does seem to make a very noticeable difference in terms of the overall performance. I mean, now we're talking about 1% lows that are above 60 with averages in the 90s, and sometimes the FPS gets into the 100. And these integrated graphics really just continue to demonstrate that 720p is where they really dominate. And it really makes sense why a lot of handheld devices like the Aya Neo and the Steam Deck go with 720p displays essentially. Though I guess those are technically 800p. But it really just comes down to the fact that 720p is just where these chips really show a lot of great levels of performance. I mean, this is pretty solid. And you know, it's interesting because I saw that Dell actually released some laptops that are pretty much just going to be using the refresh versions of these chips, but they're pairing them with 120 hertz 1080p displays. Now, they're not great 120 hertz displays. They're pretty much the ones that you're seeing in a lot of cheap gaming laptops that are kind of very dim and not necessarily the most responsive. But if you're using a chip that can get this level of performance at 720p and you have a display like that, the gaming performance that you might get out of it might actually just be really solid. So I'm curious to see if these 120 hertz displays are going to continue to make their way into the lower end market, because that might be kind of a game changer. I think once 120 hertz displays end up becoming just super commonplace, that even cheap laptops end up having them, that's when specifically the market for a lot of esports titles are really gonna blow up. But really, overall, the game just performs really well on here at really both 1080p and 720p. I would say that the sweet spot is 900p though, just because the display on here does only go up to 60 hertz anyway. But anyways, I'll see you in the next one.